Welcome to all the participants today. There are some experts also here, and we are going to discuss one of the most vital issues affecting global community, and that is environmental degradation. RJSPBH has been coming up with discussions on topics which are very close to the heart of society. And this is the sixth in the series of programs in RJSPBH. Today we will be just touching upon the general environmental degradation, but specifically we will be talking about the problem created by plastics. And later on, we will also discuss floriculture and its various aspects. And we will be getting the views of our experts also. As far as plastics are concerned, whenever science discovers or invents something new, the world is excited. And it seems we are having some kind of blessing. So plastics, when they came up on the horizon of our technical ingenuity, they were welcomed as a blessing. Little did we realize at that time that plastics will prove a veritable curse all over the world. There are different data available, but this much is clear to everyone today that plastics have been polluting and cluttering our earth, our rivers, lakes, and ultimately getting into the ocean. At least when we begin talking about something, we must start being clear about what we are talking about. For example, plastics. Plastics are a group of chemicals which can form long chains, and they don't degrade when synthesized by humans. That is the problem. The crux of the problem is not that otherwise there is anything wrong with something. It arises from one thing, because our bodies are made of such chemical groups, you know. Our very genomes are made of it. Our antibodies are made of it. And our enzymes, which all the time are making our bodies function, they are made of these long chains of these, but they are biologically originated. And of course, recognized in the ecosystem of our bodies, but not so the synthetic plastics and these long chains of this synthetically made. So plastics remain in the surroundings for hundreds of years. Of course, weathering takes place like rocks, you know. Everything gets weathered. But weathering involves breaking down. over the passage of time. It has been estimated by scientists that anything made of plastic will be weathered, but it will take hundreds of years. Hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 or even more. And what will be that degradation? It will not be a biodegraded kind of situation. It will be broken down into minute particles, microparticles, and it will still float and remain in the surroundings. That is the difficulty. For example, life consists of many species, not only humans. There are all kinds of plants and other animals and bacteria, up to bacteria, and even other in the scales. And they are all important in the ecosystem. Now they can't degrade it because it is synthetic. Life is everywhere. Bacteria can't degrade it because life does not recognize this synthetically produced thing, which otherwise is known to life, is the very basis. In fact, our genes are made of these long chains. You see, because once the bacteria or any life will find that it is strange, because it is not of living origin, that is the problem. Hence, there has been lot of discussion repeatedly how to get rid of this menace. And you all know how we are trying to do it. Government came up with legal provisions. Single-use plastics were banned. You may have to talk about the question of zero tolerance in enforcement. But this will have some effect. And then people are going to the market to buy vegetables and other things. And they are carrying, many of them, not all, I'm sorry to say, but lots of people have become conscious of this problem and they are carrying cloth bags instead of getting things in plastic bags. And one thing very pleasantly surprised me. A friend of mine was using plastic containers. In fact, that recycling was in the form of these containers being used for plants, flowering plants and herbaceous plants at home. For example, he had bought a plastic tub and then it got slightly damaged and he was going to throw it. Then suddenly the idea struck him. Why not plant some interesting green plant there, He got something from nursery and he planted it. And then he used other plastic containers to plant different varieties of herbaceous growth. That's a good idea. We can reuse many of the things made of plastic and we should avoid it. For example, instead of buying things made of plastic, for example, even small things will help, You should not buy the ice cream which has the plastic container, Instead, the kind which has that wooden stick. You should not bring plastic straws. And you should not even use these tea bags, And all these little things you can definitely do. Plastics form one of the greatest vexed problems before everyone. But the best you can do is to don't buy drinking water in these plastic bottles, never. Use other containers. Earlier we used to have earthen pots, you know. Perhaps you can start that, or at least you can use steel containers. So that would be fine, you know. And we will get some light from the experts as to how to proceed further in this direction. Also, we will, another thing connected with our environment improvement is something, there are things we avoid like plastic or use alternative things, but we can grow plants, you know. In a housing society, I have noticed that if there are 100 flats, maybe 10% of them, 10 flats, they are having plants in their balconies. If hypothetically all the 100 flats have abundance of green plants in their balconies, their microclimate will undergo a change. I remember one very interesting episode, I would call it. I was approaching with a friend at the IIT Square in Delhi. It was summer season, and as I went on from Green Park towards IIT, I suddenly felt a cool breeze, sort of. I was startled, and I asked my friend whether he was also feeling that there is some sudden change in the temperature of the surroundings. He said, yes, that is because there is a city forest nearby. What he told me exhilarated me. You know, I felt so thrilled. I said, we don't have to, we will go where we are going later on. You turn the car towards the city forest. I would like to be among those trees. And he turned the car and we went to IIT. There is a city forest near IIT. We went there. We enjoyed staying there. In fact, we so much liked it. We went to every nook and corner, and ultimately, and the time was over for wherever we were supposed to go. That was not so important also. You know, we have to give priority to anything that is concerned with nature. And where will we begin? It should go beyond our talk. It should not become something to talk about only. In my view, in my considered view, we have to remember one thing, and we have to awaken those feelings which are present, which are asleep within all of us. Naturalists call it biophilia. Biophilia. It's the love of life for life. Whether they are birds or insects or green plants or flowering shrubs or teeming life of the ocean, of our lakes, life found on the mountains. We all love life, loves life. In the Vedas, Upanishads particularly, there is a wonderful mention of Madhu Vidya. Everything in the universe is looking at one another. The moon is happy to look at the earth and us. The rising sun is happy to look at the world. We are happy to look at the rising sun and the moon. And we are happy to look at the stars. We are happy to look at the flowering trees, and they are happy that we are there. That is Madhu Vidya. We have to, this is our heritage. Not many people know about it. And RJS Positive Media and PBH increasingly will be drawing attention to all the positive aspects of our heritage. We have been very much feeling in ancient time part of our nature. Only in modern civilization, we have sort of created some civilizational islands in which we are happy to remain. In fact, at one time there was a hype because of some notions about scientific advancement. We thought that humans are the overlords of Earth. And that hype has continued up to recent times, but there has been a change of thinking as far as people who like to think. They are now thinking that we are an inseparable part of nature. Earlier, we overcame various challenges in the natural surroundings. But now the challenges that have confronted us, they are of our own making. Like the plastics that we are here assembled to discuss about. And the experts will be setting forth their views and telling us how we can proceed along the good path. How we can contribute in our own way to reduce this menace. How we can overcome it ultimately, because the ultimate aim is to overcome and free the only home that we have got, to free it from all this clutter. We have made a mess of our own, the only home that we have got. This is only one of the major problems of plastics. There are other problems. When they combine together, scientists are even warning us that we may be heading towards the sixth mass extinction. So we have to be very serious about these things, you know. Let us ask our experts and let us listen to what they have to tell us about this thing, how we can overcome, how we can contribute in our own way. Let us start the discussion. And let us first listen to the experts. Later on, we can then discuss the points that are thrown up further, including the points that have been thrown up in my overview. Thank you.